I'm just seeing what date it is. Okay, so Monday, June 30th, 1884. Okay. I could start with this, but it doesn't make any sense. I'm going to read the previous sentence. Okay. There's people whose spiritual consciousness is not at all awakened, even though they hear about God 1,000 times. They're like a crocodile, on whose hide you cannot make any impression with a sword. Pundit. But one can hurt a crocodile by throwing a spear into its belly. I'll laugh. Master is smiling. What good is there in reading a whole lot of scriptures? What good is there in the study of philosophy? What is the use of talking big? In order to learn archery, one should first aim at a banana tree, then at a reed, then at a wick, and at last a flying bird. At the beginning, one should concentrate on God with form. Then there are devotees who are beyond the three gunas. They're eternally devoted to God, like Narada. These devotees behold Chaitanya as Chinmaya, all spirit. His abode is Chinmaya. His devotees is Chinmaya. To them, God is eternal. His abode is eternal. His devotee is eternal. Those who reason and speculate following the process of neti, that is, not this, do not accept the incarnation of God. Hazra says, well, the divine incarnation is only for the bhakta and not for the jnani, because the jnani is quite contented with his ideal, I am he. Ramakrishna and the devotees remained silent a while. The pundit resumed the conversation. Pundit, sir, how does one get rid of callousness? Laughter makes me think of muscles and nerves. Grief makes me think of the nervous system. Master is smiling. That is why Narayan Shastri used to say, the harmful effect of the study of the scriptures is that it encourages reasoning and arguing. Pundit, is there no way for us then? Master, yes. There is the path of discrimination. In a song occurs the line, ask her son discrimination about the truth. The way lies through discrimination, renunciation, and passionate yearning for God. It's interesting that he puts all three together, because you can practice discrimination. This is real and that's unreal. This is eternal, that's not eternal. But unless you do something about it, there's no point. You have to, once you realize what's not eternal, you have to put it away. You have to put it aside from your mind. If you just reason about it, it's not going to do any good. And then he adds passionate yearning for God. So with the path of jnana, he's also adding the path of bhakti. Unless a man practices discrimination, he cannot utter the right words. One time, after expounding religion at great length, Pandit Samadhyaya said, God is dry. He reminded me of the man who once said, my uncle's cowshed is full of horses. Now, does anyone keep horses in a cowshed? With a smile. You have become like a chanabara. That's a Bengali sweet made from cheese, first fried in butter and then soaked in syrup. You've become like a chanabara, fried in butter. Now it will be good for you and for others as well if you are soaked in syrup a few days, just a few days. Smiling, Pundit smiling. The sweetmeat is over-fried. It has become charred. Master with a laugh. No. It's as brown as a cockroach. Ah, just the right color. Hazra. The sweetmeat is well cooked. It has become spongy. Now it will soak up your syrup nicely. Master, you see, there is no need to read too much of the scriptures. If you read too much, you will be inclined to reason and argue. Nangta used to teach me thus. That was his non-dualistic teacher, his Advaita teacher. What you get by repeating the word Gita 10 times is the essence of the book. In other words, if you repeat Gita 10 times, it's reversed into Tagi, which indicates renunciation. Yes, the way to realize God is through discrimination, renunciation, and yearning for him. What kind of yearning? One should yearn for God as the cow with a yearning heart runs after its calf. Pundit, the same thing is said in the Vedas. O God, we call on thee, as the cow lows for the calf. Master, add tears to your yearning. And if you can renounce everything through discrimination and dispassion, then you will be able to see God. That yearning brings about God intoxication, whether you follow the path of knowledge or the path of devotion. The sage Durvasa was mad with the knowledge of God. There's a great deal of difference between the knowledge of a householder and that of an all-renouncing sannyasi. The householder's knowledge is like the light of a lamp, which illumines only the inside of a room. He cannot see anything without the help of such knowledge, except his own body and his immediate family. But the knowledge of the all-renouncing monk is like the light of the sun. Through that light, he can see both inside and outside the room. Chaitanya Deva's knowledge had the brilliance of the sun of knowledge. Further, he radiated the soothing night light of the moon of devotion. He was endowed with both knowledge of Brahman and the ecstatic love of God. To the pundit, one can attain spiritual consciousness through both affirmation and negation. There is the positive path of love and devotion, and there's the negative path of knowledge and discrimination. You are preaching the path of knowledge, but that creates a very difficult situation. The guru and the disciple do not see each other. Shukadeva went to Janaka for instruction about the knowledge of Brahman. Janaka said to him, "You must pay me the guru's fee beforehand. When you attain the knowledge of Brahman, you won't pay me for the fee, because the knower of Brahman sees no difference between the guru and the disciple." Both negation and affirmation are the ways to realize one and the same goal. Infinite are the opinions and infinite are the ways. But you must remember one thing. The injunction is that the path of devotion described by Narada is best suited to the Kali Yuga. According to this path, first comes bhakti, then bhava, when bhava is mature. Higher than bhava is mahabhava and prema. An ordinary mortal does not attain mahabhava and prema. He who has achieved these has attained the goal. That is to say, he has attained God. Pundit. In expounding religion, one has to use a great many words. Master. While preaching, eliminate the head and the tail. That is to say, emphasize only the essentials. The pundit and Mani Malak became engaged in conversation. Mani was a member of the Brahmo Samaj. The pundit argued vehemently about the good and the bad sides of the Samaj. Ramakrishna was seated on the small couch and looked on, smiling. Presently he remarked, "This is the tamasic aspect of sattva, the attitude of a hero. This is necessary. One should not hold one's tongue at the sight of injustice and untruth. Suppose a bad woman wants to drag you down from the path of righteousness. You must then assume the heroic attitude and say, 'What? You witch! You dare injure my spiritual life? I shall cut your body in two right now.'" With a smile, Ramakrishna said to the pundit, "Mani Malak has been following the tenets of the Brahmo Samaj a long time. You can't convert him to your views. Isn't it an easy thing to destroy old tendencies?" Once there lived a very pious Hindu who always worshipped the Divine Mother and forced him to embrace Islam. Who worshipped the Divine Mother and chanted her name. When the Muslims came to conquer the country, they forced him to embrace Islam. They said to him, "You are now a Muslim. You say Allah. From now on, you must repeat only the name of Allah." With great difficulty, he repeated the name Allah, but every now and then he would blurt out, "Jagadamba." At that, the Muslims were about to beat him. Thereupon he said, "I beseech you, please do not kill me. I've been trying my utmost to repeat the name of Allah, but our Jagadamba has filled me up to the throat. She pushes out your Allah." All laugh. To the pundit. Please don't say anything to Mani Malak. You must know that there are different tastes. There are different powers of digestion. God has made different religions and creeds to suit different aspirants. By no means all are fit for the knowledge of Brahman. Therefore, the worship of God with form has been provided. A mother brings home a fish for her children. She curries part of the fish, part she fries, and another part she makes pilau. By no means all can digest the pilau. So she makes fish soup for those who have weak stomachs. Further, some want pickled or fried fish. There are different temperaments. There are differences in the capacity to comprehend. All said in silence. Ramakrishna said to the Pandit, "Go and visit the temples and take a stroll in the garden." It was about 5:30 in the afternoon. The Pandit left the room with his friends and several of the devotees. After a while, the master went with him toward the bathing ghat on the Ganges. He said to him, "Baburam now says, 'What shall I gain by study?'" On the bank of the river, he met the Pandit and said to him, "Aren't you going to the Kali temple?" The Pandit said, "Yes, sir, let us go together." With a smiling face, Ramakrishna proceeded to the temple through the courtyard. He said to the Pandit, "Listen to a song." He sang, "Is Kali, my mother, really black? The naked one of blackest hue lights up the lotus of the heart." As he was going through the courtyard, he quoted the Pandit from a song, "Lighting the lamp of knowledge in the chamber of your heart, behold the face of the mother, Brahman's embodiment." They came to the temple. Ramakrishna saluted the Divine Mother, touching the ground with his forehead. Red hibiscus flowers and vilva leaves adorned the mother's feet. Her 3 eyes radiated love for her devotees. 2 of her hands were raised as if to give them boons and reassurance. The other 2 held symbols of death. She was clothed in a sari of Benares silk and was decked with ornaments. Referring to the image, one of the party remarked, "I heard it was made by the sculptor Nabin." The master answered, "Yes, I know, but to me she's the embodiment of spirit." As Ramakrishna was coming back to his room with the devotees, he said to Baburam, "Come with us." M also joined them. It was dusk. The master was sitting on the semicircular porch west of his room. Baburam and M sat near him. He was in a mood of partial ecstasy. Rakhal was not then living with Ramakrishna, and therefore the master was having difficulties about his personal service. Several devotees lived with him, but he could not bear the touch of everyone during his spiritual moods. He hinted to Baburam, "Do stay with me. It will be very nice. In this mood I cannot allow others to touch me." The Pandit entered the master's room after visiting the temples. The master said to him from the porch, "Take some refreshments." The Pandit said that he had not yet performed his evening devotions. At once Ramakrishna stood up and sang in an exalted mood, "Why should I go to Ganga or Gaya, to Kashi, Kanchi, or Prabhas, as long as I can breathe my last with Kali's name upon my lips? What need of rituals has a man? What need of devotions any more, if he repeats the mother's name at the 3 holy hours?" Intoxicated with ecstatic love, the master said, "How long should one perform devotions? So long as one's mind does not merge in God while repeating Om." Pandit: "Then let me eat some refreshments. I shall perform the devotions later on." Master: "No, I don't want to obstruct the current of your life. It is not good to renounce anything before the proper time arrives. When the fruit ripens, the flower drops off of itself. One shouldn't forcibly tear off the green branch of a coconut tree. That injures the tree." Surendra was about to leave. He invited his friends into his carriage. The master, still in an ecstatic mood, said, "Don't take more people than your horse can draw." Surendra took leave of Ramakrishna. The Pandit left the room to perform his worship. M and Baburam saluted the master. They were about to leave for Calcutta. Ramakrishna was still in an ecstatic mood. Master to M, "I cannot utter a word now. Stay a few minutes." M again took his seat and waited for the master's command. Ramakrishna motioned to Baburam to take a seat and asked him to fan him a little. M also took part in rendering this personal service to the master. Master to M tenderly, "Why don't you come here so frequently now?" M, "Not for any particular reason. I've been rather busy at home." Master, "Yesterday I came to know Baburam's inner nature. That is why I've been trying so hard to persuade him to live with me. The mother bird hatches the egg at the proper time. Boys like Baburam are pure in heart. They have not yet fallen into the clutches of lust and greed. Isn't that so?" M, "Yes, it is true, sir. They are still stainless." Master, "They are like a new pot. Milk kept in it will not turn sour." M, "Yes, sir." Master, "I need Baburam here. I pass through certain spiritual states where I need someone like him. He says he must not all at once live with me permanently, for it will create difficulties. His relatives will make trouble. I'm asking him to come here Saturdays and Sundays. The pundit entered the room with his friends. He had finished his devotions and was ready to eat the refreshments. One of his companions asked the master, "Shall we succeed in spiritual life? Please tell us what our way is." Master, you all have the longing for liberation. If an aspirant has yearning, that's enough for him to realize God. Don't eat any food of the Shraddha ceremony. That's the food and drink that's offered to relatives that have died. Live in the world like an unchaste woman. She performs her household duties with great attention, but her mind dwells day and night on her paramour. Perform your duties in the world, but keep your mind always fixed on God. The pundit finished eating his refreshments. Pundit to the master to the pundit. You've read the Gita, no doubt. It says there is a special power of God in the man who is honored and respected by all. The pundit quoted the verse from the Gita. Master, you surely possess divine power. Pundit, shall I labor with perseverance to finish the task I've accepted? Sri Ramakrishna forced himself, as it were, to say yes, and he soon changed the conversation. Master, one cannot but admit the manifestation of power. Vidyasagar once asked me, has God given more power to some than to others? I said to him, certainly, otherwise how can one man kill 100? If there is no special manifestation of power, then why is Queen Victoria so much honored and respected? Don't you admit it? He agreed with me. The pundit and his friends saluted the master and were about to take their leave. Sri Ramakrishna said to the pundit, come again. One hemp smoker rejoices in the company of another hemp smoker. They even embrace each other, but they hide at the sight of other people and not of their own kind. A cow licks the body of her calf, but she threatens a strange cow with her horns. All laugh. The pundit left the room. With a smile, the master said, he has become diluted even in one day. Did you notice how modest he was? And he accepted everything I said. Moonlight flooded the semicircular porch. Sri Ramakrishna was still seated there and was about to leave. Master, tenderly, must you go now? M, yes, sir. Let me say goodbye. Master, I've been thinking of visiting the houses of the devotees. I want to visit yours also. What do you say? M, that will be very fine. Then that's the end of that day. We'll go on to the next one. But before, any questions, any comments about anything in here? John?
What are the three holy hours that were mentioned? What's that all about?
It's dawn, dusk, and I think when the sun is straight ahead.
Right out of
Straight
the
overhead.
Zohar. Just like the Zohar.
What that would be sort of a universal thing. Yeah. They say it's when dawn is breaking, it's very auspicious. Just when twilight begins, that's also very auspicious. The other thing they say is midnight is also very auspicious, but they also say that each particular place has its own spiritual current. At Vrindavan, I believe it's midnight, and in Kashi and Benares, it's 4 a.m. So each place has its own spiritual current. I am not so sensitive as to know what it is here, but I think that's what they mean by the 3 holy hours.
Swami Sarvadevananda tells me the sannyas over in India start their meditations about 03:30. I don't know if that's the same thing. Anyway,
Yeah, that's also because it gets very hot very fast. So by the time the sun starts to rise, it starts getting very hot. So it's actually lovely and cool. When you get up at 3:30 and 4 o'clock in the morning, around that time, 4:30, there's Mangala Arati in the temple, and it's lovely and cool and blessedly quiet, because when the sun rises, then all the birds, it's a real cacophony when the sun rises. And
it must
then,
be because I get up at 0400 every day. Thank you.
okay. Thursday, July 3rd. What's that? I'm sorry. Ganga.
Is the Baburam in question Swami Premananda?
Yes, he is indeed.
Oh, Oh my gosh. Okay. And
Yeah.
also my other question is about Thakur mentions like the higher states beyond, I think, just normal bhava would be like mahabhava and prema,
Yes.
but also that those higher states are unattainable for normal people.
Right.
Why? And what, like, why
Because
not? Like, why
because
can't?
probably our bodies couldn't contain it.
Yeah, okay.
That would the body simply couldn't contain it, and it's like if you have a normal being attains nirvikalpa samadhi, the body will drop off.
Okay.
I simply don't think that the body mind would be able to encompass that experience.
So
I would
the
just be happy with
existence-
simple old prema, just
Yeah. I'm curious. I have to know the existence of those two things. So that's reserved for Ishvarakotis. So I
Ishvara
guess
special. Those people who are born with a special mission, who have special powers, spiritual powers that come to them. So they're like special messengers, like a Saint Francis of Assisi, or a Chaitanya Devi. These great beings that come, that kind of light up the world.
that's really helpful. Thank you so much.
John, I see a hand.
Most languages define an angel as a messenger. Malak, Hebrew, Malakamavet, the angel of death, the messenger, whatever else, in Chinese culture also.
Yeah, these are great souls who kind of lift up everybody around him. The fact that like Saint Francis of Assisi, who was like 1600, he's remembered. So Teresa of Avila, these great, they're not incarnations, but they're real powerhouses, and they put in so much spiritual power into the world. And of course, in the Indian tradition too, Shankaracharya, Ramanuja, all these great souls that can really affect the course of spiritual history. That's just through the power of their lives and their example. Okay, let's go. Thursday, July 3rd, 1884. Sri Ramakrishna was sitting in Balaram Bose's house in Calcutta. It was the day of the Return Car Festival. The Lord of the Universe was worshipped in Balaram's house as Jagannath. There was a small car in the house for use during the car festival, and that little cart is there. It's absolutely adorable. So if you ever are able to get to India, do not miss that. It is the most charming thing you've ever seen in your life. And Sri Ramakrishna, you did it, and he dragged it. It's so beautiful. Balaram's father was a pious Vaishnava who was devoted most of his time to prayer and meditation in his garden house at Vrindavan. He also studied devotional books and enjoyed the company of devotees. Balaram had brought his father to Calcutta to meet the master. Sri Ramakrishna was in a very happy mood. Seated near him were Balaram's father, M., Manmohan, and several young devotees. He was conversing with them. Master, to Balaram's father and the others. The Bhakta Mala, it's a Vaishnava text, is one of the Vaishnava books. It is a fine book. It describes the lives of various Vaishnava devotees, but it is one-sided. At one place, the author found peace of mind only after compelling Bhagavati, the Divine Mother, to take her initiation according to Vaishnava discipline. Once I spoke highly of Vaishnavacharan to Mathur and persuaded him to invite Vaishnavacharan to his house. Mathur welcomed him with great courtesy. He fed his guest from silver plates. Then, do you know what happened? Vaishnav said in front of Mathur, "You will achieve nothing whatsoever in spiritual life unless you accept Krishna as your ideal." Mathur was a follower of the Shakta sect and a worshipper of the Divine Mother. At once his face became crimson. I nudged Vaishnavacharan. I understand that the Bhaktamala contains some statements like that. I hear it is said that they're trying to cross the ocean without accepting Krishna as the ideal deity. It's like trying to cross a great sea by holding to the tail of a dog. Each sect magnifies its own view. The Shaktas, too, try to belittle the Vaishnavas. The Vaishnavas say that Krishna alone is the helmsman to take one across the ocean of the world. The Shaktas retort, "Oh, yes, we agree to that. Our Divine Mother is the Empress of the universe. Why should she bother about a ferry boat? Therefore, she's engaged that fellow Krishna for that purpose. All laugh. Besides, how vain people are about their own sects. There are weavers in the villages near Kamarpakor. Many of them are Vaishnavas and like to talk big. They say, which Vishnu does he worship? The preserver? Oh, we wouldn't touch him. Or which Shiva are you talking about? We accept the Atmarama Shiva. Or again, please explain to us which Hari you worship. They spin their yarn and indulge in talk like that. Let me see, did I skip the page? Yep, hold on. Rati's mother, Rani Katyayani's favorite confidant, is a follower of Vaishnavacharan. She is a bigoted Vaishnava. She used to visit me very frequently, and none could outdo her in devotion. One day she noticed me eating the prasad from the Kali temple. Since then, I haven't even seen her shadow. He is indeed a real man who has harmonized everything. Most people are one-sided, but I find all opinions point to the one. All views, the Shaktas, the Vaishnava, the Vedanta, have that one for their center. He who is formless is, again, endowed with form. It is he who appears in different forms. The attributeless Brahman is my father. God with attributes is my mother. Whom shall I blame? Who shall I praise? The two pans of the scales are equally heavy. He who is described in the Vedas is also described in the Tantras and the Puranas. All of them speak of the one Satchidananda. The Nitya and the Leela are two aspects of the one reality. It is described in the Vedas as Om Satchidananda Brahman, in Tantras as Om Satchidananda Shiva, the ever-pure Shiva, and the Puranas as Om Satchidananda Krishna. All the scriptures, the Vedas, the Puranas, and the Tantras, speak only of one Satchidananda. It is stated in the Vaishnava scriptures that it is Krishna himself who has become Kali. Sri Ramakrishna went to the porch for a few minutes and then returned. As he was going out, Vaishnavacharan's daughter, 6 or 7 years old, saluted him. On returning to the room, the master began talking to the little girl and her companions, who were the same age. The child to the master, I saluted you and you didn't even notice it. Master, smiling, did you? I really didn't notice. Child, well then wait, I want to salute you again. The other foot too. Sri Ramakrishna laughed and sat down. He returned the salute and bowed to the child, touching the ground with his forehead. He asked her to sing. The child said, I swear I don't sing. When the master pressed her again, the child said, should you press me when I say I swear? The master was very happy with the children and sang light and frivolous songs to entertain them. He sang, come, let me braid your hair, lest your husband should scold you when he beholds you. The children and the devotees left. Master to the devotees, the Paramahamsa is like a 5-year-old child. He sees everything filled with consciousness. At one time I was staying at Kamarpakor when Shivaram, that was one of his nephews, was 4 or 5 years old. One day he was trying to catch grasshoppers near the pond. The leaves were moving. To stop their wrestling, he said to the leaves, hush, hush, I want to catch a grasshopper. One day it was storming. It rained hard. Shivaram was with me inside the house. There were flashes of lightning. He wanted to open the door and go out. I scolded him and stopped him, but he peeped out now and then. When he saw the lightning, he exclaimed, there, uncle, they're striking matches again. The Paramahamsa is like a child. He cannot distinguish between a stranger and a relative. He isn't particular about worldly relationships. One day Shivaram said to me, uncle, are you my father's brother or his brother-in-law? The Paramahamsa is like a child. He doesn't keep any track of his whereabouts. He sees everything as Brahman. He is indifferent to his own movements. Shivaram went to Hridoy's house to see the Durga Puja. He slipped out of the house and wandered away. A passerby saw the child, who was only then 4 years old, and asked, where do you come from? He couldn't say much. He only said the word hut. When he was speaking of the big hut in which the image of the Divine Mother was being worshipped, the stranger asked him further, whom are you living with? He only said the word brother. Sometimes the Paramahamsa behaves like a madman. When I experienced that divine madness, I used to worship my own sexual organ as a Shiva phallus, but I can't do that now. A few days after the dedication of the temple at Dakshineshwar, a madman came here who really was a sage, endowed with the knowledge of Brahman. He had a bamboo twig in one hand and a potted mango plant in the other, and he was wearing torn shoes. He didn't follow any social conventions. After bathing in the Ganges, he didn't perform any religious rites. He ate something that he carried into the corner of his wearing cloth. Then he entered the Kali temple and chanted hymns to the deity. The temple trembled. Haladhari was then in the shrine. The madman wasn't allowed to eat at the guest house, but he paid no attention to this slight. He searched for food in the rubbish heap where the dogs were eating crumbs from discarded leaf plates. Now and then he pushed the dog aside to get his crumbs. The dogs didn't mind either. Haladhari followed him and said, "Who are you? Are you a Purnagyani?" The madman whispered, "Shh. Yes, I am a Purnagyani. That's one complete knowledge of Brahman." My heart began to palpitate as Haladhari told me about it. I clung to Hridoy and said to the Divine Mother, "Mother, shall I have to too pass through such a state?" We all went to see the man. He spoke words of great wisdom, but behaved like a madman before others. Haladhari followed him a great way when he left the garden. After passing the gate, he said to Haladhari, "What else shall I tell you? When you no longer can make any distinction between the water of this pool and the water of the Ganges, then you will know that you have perfect knowledge." Saying this, he walked rapidly away. Sri Ramakrishna began to talk with him, and other devotees too were present. Master, to M, "How do you feel about Shashadhar?" M, "He's very nice." Master, "He's very intelligent, isn't he?" M, "Yes, sir, he's very erudite." Master, "According to the Gita, there's a power of God in one, who's respected and honored by many. But Shashadhar still has a few things to do. What will he accomplish with mere scholarship? He needs to practice some austerity. It is necessary to practice some spiritual discipline." And that is the end of the reading. I went a little too long, but I didn't want to leave it right in the middle of that conversation. So any last comments or questions? Oh, good. Okay. Then we will close with a chant. Tomorrow, there will be a lecture, assuming that the electricity holds, on integrating the yogas. This coming Sunday, Wednesday we'll have a reading from Life of Swami Akhandananda, Call of the Spirit. This coming Sunday is Maharaja's Puja, Swami Brahmananda Puja. This coming Sunday, right? Sunday week, yeah. A week from this Sunday. So that would be the 11th Swami Brahmananda Puja. So please join us if you possibly can. It will also be online, but you won't be able to get the prasad lunch online. So if you can show up, that would be great. Okay, so we can close with a chant. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Thank you all for joining. And we'll see you. Jai Ma. Jai Ma.